Cricket is the sport Australia grew up with, but somewhere along the way, Cricket Australia started acting like the game would always belong to them, no matter how little they invested in its foundations. And that's the problem, because while the rest of the sporting world has evolved, innovated and rebuilt itself for a new generation, Cricket Australia has been running the same old playbook for 30 years. Cricket hasn't been overtaken, it's basically been left behind. There's a two-speed game, Test cricket and everything else. Cricket Australia is stuck in a cultural split. Test cricket is sacred, everything else is tolerated. But the world has changed. Young people don't have 5 days, families don't have 5 days, and broadcasters don't have 5 days just to stand around. And instead of modernising Test cricket and elevating shorter formats, or elevating other formats, Cricket Australia has protected tradition at the expense of growth, ignored to a degree the global T20 revolution, treated the Big Bash oddly like a summer filler, but when it probably shouldn't be there, and failed to build a domestic product with identity or pride. Australia has the strongest national teams in the world, although that's perhaps becoming a bit debatable, and one of the weakest domestic cricket cultures that exists. That's not a success, that's imbalance. But it wasn't always like that. The Big Bash has gone really from a revolution at its beginnings to more of an afterthought, which is basically the same across the whole of the domestic competition. The Big Bash should have been Australia's T20 powerhouse, but instead it should have been packing stadiums with family appeal, a global window, a unique identity, and a generation of kids who love it. And then Cricket Australia did what Cricket Australia always does. They overmanaged the thing, they sanitised it, they stretched it, they diluted it, and they lost its spark. And they shifted it around and they did things with it they shouldn't have done. Instead of building a world-class league, they built a safe one. Instead of competing with things like the IPL, they tried to avoid upsetting the IPL and tried to avoid upsetting India. The Big Bash didn't fail, it was just tamed. 3. The talent pathway. This is where it gets really weird. There's too much control and not enough freedom. Cricket Australia's pathway system has become like a machine. Academies, state programs, high performance hubs, early specialisation, year-round commitments. And just like the AFL, it's squeezing the joy out of the game for young kids. Kids aren't playing backyard cricket anymore. They're not playing their multi-sports. They're not experimenting. They're not failing freely. They're being coached, monitored, measured and managed. That isn't cricket, certainly not from when I was around playing junior cricket. Cricket used to be a sport where creativity thrived. Now it's a sport where creativity is coached out of kids before they even turn 16. And the shake-up means giving kids their freedom back. The domestic engine room, which was the Sheffield Shield, the One Day Cup, and the Women's National Cricket League, the WNCL, has to matter again. Here's the truth. Cricket Australia refuses to confront. You cannot have a strong national team if your domestic competitions are weak, invisible, and pretty much underfunded. Sheffield Shield, the forgotten jewel in the crown in Australian cricket. Sheffield Shield cricket used to be the envy of the world. It was the finishing school for legends like Dennis Lillee, Greg Chappell, etc., etc. It was the heartbeat of Australian cricket. Now, it's barely marketed. It's played in empty stadiums. It's often hidden on the Cricket Australia website, so you can't find it. It's scheduled as an afterthought. It's treated like a cost centre and not investment. There's really no effort to make it the premier competition. The One Day Cup, a national staple, has turned into a ghost competition. Once a marquee event, now reduced to random weekday fixtures, minimal broadcasting, zero promotion, zero narrative, and zero respect, which is the same as the Sheffield Shield. The One Day Cup should be a national event. Instead, it's a calendar inconvenience. in all reality. And then there's the WNCL, the most neglected competition in the country. This is the part Cricket Australia never wants to talk about. The WNCL is underfunded, underpromoted, pretty much under-broadcast, under-scheduled, undervalued, and the women don't get the chance to play more than one-day games. They should be playing first-class cricket, whether it's over 3 or 4 days, and yet it produces players who dominate world cricket. Australia's women's team is the best in the world despite its domestic structure, not because of it. The WNCL needs more games, longer formats, first-class opportunities, proper windows and real marketing, real investment, real efforts to make that possible. You cannot call yourself a world leader in women's sport while giving your elite domestic players a handful of matches a year. The truth, these competitions aren't old-fashioned, they're actually essential. They produce the players, they build the depth, they teach the craft, they connect the states to the national story. And at the moment that is not happening. Cricket Australia keeps chasing shiny things while neglecting the engine room. That actually sustains the sport. The real shake-up means rebuilding the domestic structure from the ground up. The national team is masking success. The national team masks success that hides the problems at the moment. That's the real problem. The national team is masking things. Australia's men's and women's teams are world class, but that success has become a mask. It's hiding a shrinking domestic footprint, a declining junior base, a confused product, a really stale summer schedule, a lack of innovation, a leadership group scared to take risks. Winning trophies doesn't mean the system is healthy. It means the top end is strong while the rest is beginning to crack. The shake-up for Cricket Australia, if cricket wants to stay relevant in this country, with more choice, more diversity and more competition than ever, it needs to reset and build on courage, not nostalgia. They've got to modernise Test cricket without diluting it. They've got to fix the Big Bash up and make it a world-class league in some form and change where it is in the calendar. Free the talent pathway from over-management. Stop managing these players the way they are. Restore the Sheffield Shield, restore the One Day Cup, restore the WNCL to national importance. It needs to be playing during the summer at the right time. Introduce first-class cricket into the women's game. Market domestic cricket like it's a product, not a relic. Sharpen up the summer schedule. Sharpen it up. Give the kids back freedom to fall in love with the game. Cricket doesn't need saving, it needs honesty. It needs imagination. It needs to stop assuming Australians are going to love this game forever. Because the truth is simple. Cricket didn't lose the country. It's just stopped listening to the country. And this is about the time that it needs to wake up.